China has delayed releasing its third-quarter GDP figures and other key economic indicators. They were scheduled for release Tuesday morning. It's a highly unusual move and comes as Beijing plays host to the week-long Communist Party Congress, during which President Xi Jinping is expected to secure an unprecedented third term in office. The data for third-quarter GDP has been highly anticipated. GDP was expected to have expanded 3.4% in July to September year-on-year, according to a Reuters poll. That's after China's economy grew just 0.4% in the second quarter from a year earlier. The weak growth has been in part down to stringent COVID curbs and a deepening property slump. The National Bureau of Statistics website didn't specify when the figures will be released. Also postponed September's releases for a host of other figures, including industrial production, retail sales, and the urban jobless rate, as well as data for China's home prices last month.
Voters in Georgia began casting their ballots on the first day of early voting in two contentious elections that have captured nationwide attention. The first is a key U.S. Senate race between Democratic incumbent Raphael Warnock and Republican challenger Hershel Walker, the one-time football star and political novice who was backed by former President Donald Trump.
Would you support a Trump 2024 run?
Yes, I would. And let me tell you, President Trump is my friend.
Monday's early voting came just days after the two candidates, who are virtually neck and neck, sparred in a televised debate over a range of issues, from abortion to policing to personal integrity. The outcome of the race could help determine control of the U.S. Senate. The other race is a rematch for governor between Republican incumbent Brian Kemp and Democratic voting rights activist Stacey Abrams. Kemp narrowly beat Abrams in 2018 and appears to still have strong Republican support despite defying Trump by certifying Joe Biden's win in Georgia in the 2020 presidential election.
So I voted for Kemp in the governor race. I think he's done a great job.
Corporate trainer Jason Warshaw thinks Kemp is tougher on crime than Abrams, but the Senate race, he says, posed a more difficult choice.
But I bit my tongue and voted for Hershel Walker. Because I feel that Warnock is contributing to the problems we're having financially across the country. So it was not a vote for Walker, it was a vote against Warnock.
I voted for Stacey Abrams for governor, and I voted for Raphael Warnock for our Senate.
Retired school teacher and school administrator Susan Van Leer said abortion rights factored into her decision.
Part of the answer is the decision on women's rights. That I feel like the Georgia legislature has been really tough on changing our laws, that I feel like women should have a right to choose. The other part of the answer is from a Senate standpoint, I couldn't in any clear conscience vote for Hershel Walker. I mean, I just think there are too many issues, too many inaccuracies that it just wouldn't allow me to do that.
Walker, who has voiced opposition to abortion without exceptions, has been rocked by media reports that he paid for an abortion in 2009 for a woman he was dating who later gave birth to one of his children. He denies the allegation. In addition to the races, Georgia is notable for being a state in which poll workers have been threatened and harassed after Trump lost in 2020 and made false accusations that ballots were stolen, something voter Rondrick Williamson, a podiatrist, hopes is in the past.
I think a lot of the claims from the last election cycle have been debunked. So I'm hopeful that this will be a smooth election cycle.
Early voting in Georgia ends on Friday, November 4th, immediately prior to Election Day on November 8th.
Locked out of his Instagram and Twitter accounts, rapper Kanye West, who now goes by Ye, has agreed to buy social media company Parler, its parent company said on Monday. Parler, popular among U.S. conservatives, was kicked off Google and Apple's app stores following the storming of the U.S. Capitol in January 2021, but has recently been reinstated. George Farmer, the CEO of Parler's parent company, told Reuters that deal talks with Ye only started recently, as the rapper has faced recent backlash on social media. On October 3rd, he wore a shirt with the phrase "White Lives Matter." Less than a week later, he was locked out of his Instagram account for posts that several Jewish groups called anti-Semitic. He then returned to Twitter for the first time in years. That account was soon locked too. Social media consultant Matt Navarra says he sees a lot of similarities between Ye's purchase of Parler and the much bigger deal between billionaire Elon Musk and Twitter.
And like Elon, Kanye is another character that has a reputation for being quite polarizing and posting things that can cause a lot of upset on the platforms that he posts on. And so buying into a social platform where he has more control and ownership, I guess you can see why that might be appealing.
For some, it's a worrying trend and see danger when major platforms are in the hands of a wealthy few, says Metaphor's co-founder Alan Adamson.
It means that media, which used to be a impartial provider of information, is being polarized by very influential, wealthy individuals on both sides. Elon Musk recently going after Twitter, Jeff Bezos previously buying the Washington Post, which is more to the left. You will either tune into the world owned by Elon Musk and Kanye West, or you'll get tuned in to get information from a world not owned by them. And this polarization makes it increasingly difficult for information to get out in an objective, unbiased manner.
Research firm Aptopia estimates Parler has been installed 11.7 million times since launch and has 40,000 daily active users. The Nashville-based company, which has raised about $56 million to date, says it expects the deal with Ye to close during the fourth quarter of 2022. It did not give a value of the deal. Forbes estimates Ye to have a net worth of $2 billion.
The situation in Ethiopia is spiraling out of control. Violence and destruction have reached alarming levels. The social fabric is being ripped apart. Hostilities in the Tigray region of Ethiopia must end now, including the immediate withdrawal and disengagement of Eritrean armed forces from Ethiopia. There is no military solution. Civilians are paying a horrific price. Indiscriminate attacks, including in residential areas, are killing more innocent people every day, damaging critical infrastructure, and limiting access to vital services. Hundreds of thousands of people have been forced to flee their homes since hostilities resumed in August, many of them for the second time. The United Nations is ready to support the African Union in every possible way to end this nightmare for the Ethiopian people. We need the urgent resumption of talks towards an effective, lasting political settlement.
U.S. stocks surged on Monday after the United Kingdom reversed course on its economic plan and following results from Bank of America, the latest U.S. company to post solid quarterly earnings. The Dow added more than 500 points to close up almost 2%. The S&P 500 rose more than 2.6%, and the Nasdaq soared 3.4% higher. Britain named Jeremy Hunt the country's new finance minister, and he immediately scrapped Prime Minister Liz Truss's fiscal measures, which had unnerved markets in recent weeks. Rob Hayworth, Senior Investment Strategy Director at U.S. Bancorp, said it was the historic policy U-turn that boosted investor confidence.
We're seeing much better returns today in stocks, and we're seeing rates move lower, and a lot of that, in our view, is really due to the change in tax policy in the United Kingdom government. Right, the repeal of tax cuts, of stimulus measures, which had really pushed their bond yields much higher and pushed our bond yields much higher, is now seeing some unwinding today. So we're seeing a weaker U.S. dollar, lower interest, slightly lower interest rates here in the U.S., and that's putting a bit more of a bid under our market.
Shares of Bank of America jumped 6%, leading a rally among the big banks after reporting a smaller-than-expected drop in profit, with its new loans benefiting from rising interest rates in the quarter. Fellow financial firm Bank of New York Mellon also benefited from higher interest rates, shares also climbed. Shares of Goldman Sachs, which will post results on Tuesday, also rose following reports of a major reorganization to combine its biggest businesses into 3 divisions, with its investment banking and trading businesses being merged into a single unit. Major megacap growth stocks like Apple, Meta Platforms, Amazon, and Tesla all rallied. Shares of Netflix also soared ahead of its earnings report on Tuesday.